One of the key reasons for project failure is a lack of business case for the project. So we jump into projects without doing the cash flow analysis. So that is a very big risk, which will get revealed when the project is halfway through, and by the time a lot of investment is made, and if there is no business case, the stakeholders will lose interest and the project will become a disaster. So it is worthwhile to do a cash flow analysis of the project uh, before initiating the project itself. So this is a simple cash flow analysis for projects. As project managers, one need not be experts in cash flow analysis. For that, you will get the assistance of accountants, professional chartered accountants or cost accountants. But still, we need the right vocabulary to communicate with them. That is the intent of this session. Now, let us take one project where in the year zero, that means we are starting the project and we are investing 100,000 in the project. So that is why I am showing it as a negative cash flow, because the cash is going out. So the timeline now, I'm investing right now, so it is the present value of that amount is 100,000 because this transaction is happening at this particular instance. So we can consider it as a present value. So before explaining further, let me explain this concept of present value and future value. That means when I put, let us say, 100,000 in bank today, after 5 years I may get, let's say, 200,000. So the future value is 200,000, whereas the present value is only 100,000. That means if I'm investing on a project right now, that is in present value, and the benefits from the projects are always projected as future values. That is something which I am going to get in the future. And there is a factor of inflation and stuff like that. So the purchasing power of $1 today can be much lower than the purchasing power of $1 after some years or in the future. So present value is the value of the future cash flow converted into the present value. So in the year zero, this is the investment. So I'm investing 100,000. So my present value is 100,000. I'm showing it as negative because it is a cash outflow, and there is no cash inflow because we are just starting the project. And in year one, we are forecasting a net cash flow, that is income minus expenses. We are forecasting a net cash flow of 10,000. Now this is a future cash flow which I am going to get after 1 year. So we need to convert that into present value. The formula for present value is future value divided by 1 plus r to the power of n, where r is the rate of interest and n is the year in which we are calculating. So here for calculation purposes, I've taken the rate of interest as 10%. So present value is 10,000. That is the future value predicted here. Year one, I'm going to get 10,000. So that is my future value. 10,000 divided by 1 plus r. R is 10%. That is 0.1 to the power of 1 because we are calculating it in the year 1. So my present value equivalent of 10,000 is 9,090. Similarly, I'm calculating for year 2, the forecasted net cash flow is 15,000. The equivalent present value is 15,000 divided by 1.1 to the power of 2, because this is year 2, and that is equal to, the present value is 12,396. And that is the case in year 3. The present value, the future value is 25,000 divided by 1.1 to the power of 3. That amounts to 18,782. In year 4, the net cash flow is 30,000. So the corresponding present value is 20,491. And I calculated this till year 7. Because let us assume that for this project it is difficult for me to forecast the cash flow after year 7, because I don't have visibility after year 7. So I've done this exercise of converting the future cash flows into present value till year 7. Now, net present value, the definition of net present value is sum of the present value of all future cash flows minus initial investment. So here I add up all the present values of the future cash flows minus the initial investment, that is 100,000. It gives me 45,941. So after 7 years, I will get the net present value of the project is 45,941, which is good because at least it is making a profit. Now another factor to be understood here is the payback period. Now I've put 100,000, invested 100,000 into the project. Now if I add up all the present values of the project, in year 6, the sum of the present values becomes 1,15,014. That means in year 6, the present value of the cash flows matches the initial investment. So we call it as the break-even point, or we call it as the payback period. That means in 6 years' time, we can take out the investment of 100,000 from the project, because the project would have given us an equivalent of 100,000 in 6 years' time in present value terms. So in this case, the payback period is 6 years. So if I invest 100,000 in this project, in 6 years' time, I can take my investment out, and after that, whatever I get is a profit. Then net present value, then the benefit cost ratio is sum of the benefits divided by the investment. So here, if I add up all the benefits of the project starting from year 1 to year 7, that is coming to 1,45,941, and I divide it with the initial investment, that gives me 1.45. That means for every dollar or rupee invested in the project, I will get $1.45 or 1.45 rupees as the return. So if the BCR is positive, that is a good sign. And if the BCR is greater than 1, that is a good sign. If NPV is positive, that is a good sign. And then generally what happens is, before investing in any project, we may do this cash flow analysis for multiple options. Now let us say there is tremendous traffic jam in my country, in my place of living, and the government wants to sort it out. So the options they may consider is project 1 can be improving the roads, project 2 can be a metro rail, project 3 can be a water metro. Each of these can solve this issue. Then they can do, or they are supposed to do, a cash flow analysis for all these 3 options. They will do a cash flow analysis for improving roads, cash flow analysis for metro rail, and a cash flow analysis for water metro, and they will see which one has the maximum NPV, shortest payback period, and the maximum benefit cost ratio. So based on that, they will decide. So as a rule of thumb, we can always say that we can always pick up that project whose NPV is the highest and which has a reasonably shorter payback period. So that is the thumb rule. Then there is an opportunity cost. So if I have 100,000 rupees or dollars, and if I'm investing it in project A, then project B, the NPV of the project B is the opportunity cost or the opportunity lost. That means if I have $100,000, let's say either I can buy a luxurious flat, or I can buy an independent house on the suburbs. If I buy a luxurious flat within the city, then I'm losing the opportunity of owning the independent house in the suburbs. Similarly, if I'm investing in the suburbs, I'm losing the opportunity of living in the apartment within the city. So that is the opportunity cost. So we discussed about cash flows, we discussed about future value, present value, net present value, benefit cost ratio, payback period, and the opportunity cost. So as a project manager, one need to understand this much in order to communicate and understand these things while communicating with other professional accountants. Because here, to simplify things, I have considered the rate of interest as a constant from year 1 till year 7. But in reality, the rate of interest will fluctuate. Then the calculations can become more complex. Then inflation also has to be factored in. Then that also will will make the calculations more complex. So this is the simplest form of a cash flow analysis, and the most important thing is a cash flow analysis must be performed before deciding on the project. Otherwise, we'll be blindly jumping into the project to realize later that okay, there is no business case, and by that time a lot of money is sunk into the project. We call it as the sunk cost, S-U-N-K, sunk cost. Sunk cost is okay, the money invested into a project which cannot be recovered, that is gone, that must be written off. So in order to avoid such things, it is better to do a cash flow analysis of the project. However small the project is or however big the project is, it is important to do a cash flow analysis before deciding to go ahead with the project. First thing is you work out the cash flow, net cash flow for the project till the duration you can foresee, and then convert that into the present value, then work out the net present value and the benefit cost ratio and the opportunity cost and the payback period. And with these, your business decision to invest or not to invest in a project will be foolproof. Thank you.